So we are continuing our data analytics class, and in the last class we discussed exploratory data analysis on a tips data set. Now today it's a simple introduction about Tableau calculated fields, and I will show you some examples also. And then Tableau calculated fields is going to be a multiple chapter lesson actually. Like in this particular topic there will be several chapters or several lessons you can say, so we can call it lesson 1 of Tableau calculated fields, which is intro and some examples, so that we can understand. So like uh, suppose there is Power BI also. So in Power BI we have calculated table, calculated measures, and even calculated columns. Okay, so here we have calculated fields. If you don't have any reference of Power BI, so you can just leave it. Otherwise, what is calculated field, as the name suggests, is a field that is created by doing some kind of calculation. Okay, that is
Yes.
created by doing some kind of by applying some kind of formula on a particular column or on a field. So let's see some examples. For example, sales. This is name of a column. Okay. So when we use a variable, this is also a variable, right? Sales is a variable here. Here you can see the fields that we are seeing here. So fields are written like this in inside square brackets. First thing, like for example, if we have to write state, then state will be written inside a square bracket. Okay, a function like sum of sales, average of sales. So if we write this code, the highlighted portion, this is a calculated field. Okay, this can be a calculated field. So a calculated field has many expressions, functions. It also has operators like logical operators, arithmetic operators. So it also has conditional statements. So we'll see those examples. Now here you can see, first thing is, how can we access this thing called calculated fields, because it is not there currently. You can access by simply clicking on this small drop down icon, and then you can click on create calculated field. I am showing once again. Just click on this small dot here, create calculated. This is one way. Suppose we want to create something with sales, so we can right click and then create calculated fields. So if you want to use any particular field here in a calculated field, so you can right click it, go to create, and then you can create calculated field. Later we will also learn about group, bins, and parameter, like what are these things. But right now we are doing calculated fields. Okay, this is second thing that you can do. So
सर वो तो ऑलरेडी कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड है ही है तो वो
no,
क्रिएट
it's not a calculated field. It is a field that is there in the data set. Sales is a field that is given in the data set. It is not a calculated field. If you have to like sales without any formula, without any expression, is just a given field, right? So this is another way. If you go to analysis tab, here also you
सर
can see create calculated
जनरेटेड
field. Yeah.
सर जनरेटेड फील्ड और कैलकुलेटेड फील्ड
Generated
वो
field,
अलग अलग
generated,
है.
exact. Generated field is something that Tableau gives you by default when you load a data set. Okay. For example, count of orders. Orders is the name of the table which we have loaded, and count is the function that has been applied to it, and this is count of orders, which is a dynamic field, but this is a generated field. Now if we right click and go to create and create calculated field, so it will show us that variable inside, that variable name inside a square bracket, or the field name inside a square bracket. Let's say we want to create a field. Usually a field shows sum of a measure, right? Suppose we want
Yes.
to show average of that particular measure. Okay, so this is average sales. This is an expression that will calculate average sales. And when you will write average here, or we can write the name of this field. So name of field average sales. So this is the name of this field. So this field was not there previously. Tableau has not generated this field, but we are doing a manual calculation. Okay. So now if you have error in your expression, so you will see some kind of error warning here. For example, if I forget to close this parenthesis or the round bracket, you will see the calculation contains an error. Expected closing parenthesis or comma while passing argument list for average function. So you have to look at these errors, understand them. Even though, even after doing all of that, you are still getting errors, you know, so you can copy and paste this error on different type of websites like Stack Overflow, or you can post it on ChatGPT and it will give you a solution. We will discuss that later. Now we'll simply click apply and when and OK. So now you can see this average field, average sales field is added here, and in order to distinguish a calculated field with a provided field, you can see in this field an equal to sign is given, but
Yes.
in this field equal to sign is not there with the icon. So this equal to sign means this field is calculated field.
Calculated.
So this is how, suppose you are working on a workbook that was created by someone else. Okay, and in that you want to recognize which fields were given in the data, which fields were provided or calculated, so you can distinguish them by this. Now what will happen is, suppose we drag region over here and we drag sales over here on this ABC, so it will give us the sum of sales by default, even though we did not do sum of sales. But as we have discussed in many previous videos, it by default sum is that function. But when you will drag average
Correct.
sales here and create a text table, so you will see the calculated field is dynamically fetching the average sales for each region. Okay, and this particular field sum of sales is fetching sales, so the sum of sales. Okay,
सर
now
बट इसमें सर इसमें बट हम लोग
हाँ निकाल लेते थे, but what we have to do is कि in that case you have to drag this once again, and then you have to, let's say you want minimum, average, whatever. So if you look closely, this now becomes a calculated field, right? Because you are applying some kind of calculation here. But this time this field is only present in our row or column or our, data side, like view side, but not in the table side, right? Suppose you want to use this field again and again. Right now this field is only present in this sheet. Okay. Suppose you want to use this field again and again in many other graphs and calculations. So then this method is something that you have to repeat again and again. So that's why instead of doing this, we will click here and create a calculated field, and we'll call it min sales and write minimum sales. So all the aggregate functions that I am using here, so all the aggregate functions that we are using here, so we can drag them one by one in this container now, the measure values container. So this measure values container, or you can call it a variable also, right? This measure names variable is there. Now you can drag items here. So minimum sales, you can see in central region there has been a minimum sale of 0. Similarly, what you can do is you can right click here and duplicate this. Okay, then you can rename this to something like maximum sales, and then you can right click and edit it. So you can edit calculated fields, you can remove calculated field, add calculated field, and we are writing max here. So this is just a very basic description. So we can drag max, and now as a homework what you can do, you can uh, as an assignment you can create all type of measures here, like variance, standard deviation, whatever measures are there, and you can create a table like this. So in something in Python pandas, or when you are analyzing data with Python, we use a function called describe. So that describe function gives us this type of information: minimum, maximum, count, first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, these type of things. Okay. So this is something that we will discuss later also, but this is how we are describing the data. This is the way to kind of describe the data. Like if you have to describe a particular measure, this is how you can describe it, by providing its mean value, sum, count, minimum, maximum, you can describe. So this is a simple introduction to calculated fields. Now we'll create another sheet here, open calculated fields. Here you can see in calculated fields, we have these functions. So Tableau, this may be, um, in some cases this may appear like this. So you have to click on this expand arrow. So this is expand and collapse. So in this expand arrow, you can see we have these functions, and functions or keywords you can say, and here you can find their explanation also. For example, ABS returns the absolute value of the given number. This means if you provide a positive number or a negative number, ABS will always convert it into a positive number, right? So now I'll just give one example how to do this. So let's say ABS profit. We know that in some cases profit is negative. That's, I know this is not a valid calculation, but for some reason if we want to calculate the absolute profit, let's say, so if we can write it like this. So we can, if you will start writing something here, it will also give you suggestions, right, based on your data. So ABS profit. So what we'll do, we'll create in this sheet. First of all, we'll drag order ID, add all members, then we will drag profit. So this will give us profit per order, and then we have ABS profit. So we'll get that also. We'll change it to text view, and here you can see. So it is actually sum of profit, and this is sum of ABS profit. So you can see the difference, because for You know that, right? For orders, for one order ID, there are more than two instances, right? Because of product. So if you don't want order ID here, you can drag row ID here. Row ID is unique for every order. So here you can see the difference. If profit is minus 383, it has converted it to 383. So this is the work of absolute. Let's create another calculated field. Now this is A cos. A cos means arc cosine, which is inverse of cos of a number. For example, cos pi that is 3.14, right? Pi is 180, so it is 3.1. Arc of minus 1, cos pi is 1, I guess, and a cos of minus 1, cos pi is minus 1, I guess, and a cos of minus 1 is 3.14, which is pi. So it it gives us inverse of that. So these are the trigonometrical ratios. We have all type of trigonometrical ratios here. Tan, so a tan, tan 2, tan. These are tan related functions. Sine, cos, everything we have. So sine of something, a sine of something. But while working with, yeah, no, it has only this sine. Okay. So while working with trigonometrical ratios, we also have functions like degrees and radians. Okay, so that we can convert degrees into radians and radians into degrees. For example, usually we say pi by 4. Okay, and that is 45 degree. So degree, if we will do degrees of pi by 4, it will give us 45, and pi in itself is a function. Okay, it's a constant value, I will say, not a function, although we have to write it like this, but this constant value will be this. Okay, so degree, every time when you are doing the calculation, make sure that when we read cos 45, so we actually do cos pi by 4, right? So that we actually get the value of cos 45. So you have to convert them. Now there is this and. So today we'll learn about this and expression. And is a logical operator. Okay, and or, these are two logical operators, and these operators are used for selection of data, for comparison of data. So for example, let's say we have to find sum of sales. Okay, but we have to find sum of sales when sum of sales for chairs. Remember, I'm writing this also. Sum of sales of chairs, which is a subcategory in north region. Do you get this question? Okay, now there are different ways of doing this. Let's let's do it with a simple way, with the help of filters. Okay, so first we need sum of sales, like what is the total amount of sales in north region of chairs. Okay, the sum of sales total is 22,97,201. Okay, now what we'll do, we have to use two other variables, that is region. So we'll put regions into filter. Okay, there is no north region, so let's say we want it for south region. Okay, south region. So what we can do is we can select south. So this filter by default will only select south, and for south region 3,91,000 is the sum of sales. Now second variable that we need to consider is subcategory, and in subcategory we have to select chairs. We'll apply OK. So this amount that you are seeing here, if you want to see text only, this is the amount. Okay, so this is 45,176 is what total sales for South region for chairs. Okay, now here we have selected both filters, right? So it is showing us result in conjunction, right? So that's why and. Now let's create a calculated field here itself. Let's create a calculated field and call it sales chairs south. Let's say this, right? Sales chairs south. So if, okay, if, so how we write if is, we write if, then we write an expression. Okay, this expression is created with the help of uh, other keywords that you can see here. Okay, or with the help of comparison operators. For example, if region, okay, is equal to south, and since south is a string, so we will write it like this: if region equal to south. Okay, then I'm writing a simple equation here. Then sum of, or we can say then sales end. Okay, so this is a valid calculation, you can see. So when we write if, we first write our expression, whatever our condition is. Okay, and if this condition is met, then what is the output? So in second line we use the output. Okay, and then we have to end the if statement. Okay, so it is written like this: if then end. Obviously you are getting a recording for this video, so you can play this video once again, and you can take a screenshot also of this and try on your own computer. But this is how you can write a if statement with one condition. Okay, if we have a condition, we can put condition inside a bracket also, so that we understand that this condition statement or this conditional expression starts at the start of this bracket and ends at this. Okay, now but in our question we have another subcategory also. Okay, so we'll write and here, and then we will write, so you have seen region is equal to south. Okay, now there is one more thing: why have we written two equal to signs? Okay, so usually in programming languages like Python or PHP, one equal to sign is used for assignment. And yeah, assignment, like for example, if you will write x is equal, yeah, if you write x is equal to 5 or 6, this is assignment. We are assigning an integer value of 5 in a variable called x, and x equal to 5 will mean we are comparing whether value of x is equal to integer 5, so it will return a true output. Okay, so what is this now? Here it will run like a loop. Okay, so it will run like a scan, you can say. So it will scan all rows, and when in a row this condition is met, it will select its sales. Okay, so it will be like a calculated column. or a calculated value, you can say. Okay, and similarly we can write another condition here, and that condition is our subcategory equal what is, so yeah, exactly. If you this particular statement, there are many languages like JavaScript, PHP, like only there is only 5 to 10% change in the syntax, but it is, you know, very much similar to SQL, very much similar to Python or even R. So that's why Tableau or any other programming language or any other tool like this becomes, it becomes very necessary for us to have good understanding of SQL, right? So that we can, if we have that knowledge, then we can all apply everything that we have learned here. Now again calculation is valid. Let's try one equal sign, then also calculation is valid. Okay, because here is no assignment, so that's why it will consider it as comparison only. I have done that here, right? Here we tried the same thing without writing any calculated field. Okay, here we are trying the same thing by writing a calculated field. Choice is yours. Okay, now what is the benefit of this? What is the benefit of this? Here you are only analyzing the data at this moment, right? In this sheet only. What if you want to use this calculation in other calculations, right? Like what if you now, so suppose you have done it for south region, you have done it, similarly you can do it for north, east and every other region. Okay, so in that case you have to write four statements, right? And you have to write four calculated fields. Later we'll understand another concept called parameters, like how can we put a parameter here, right? Instead of south, how can we use a parameter, that you will understand later. So the main purpose of calculated field is it will give you the calculation, and then you can use that calculation in other calculations or anywhere, right, throughout your analysis. But this thing is something that you have to do again and again. Okay, and it will take a lot of real estate on your filters and marks also, right? Suppose you have to apply 10 more filters, so it will look kind of messy. There are many reasons of doing this. Now it is created. Now it will be interesting to see if the calculation is correct or not. Okay, so it will first we have, yeah, sales chairs out. So you can see both values are equal, and now here we have learned a very important and very easy thing, use of if else. Okay, now we can similarly we can write more statements. So if you go here, right, if, okay, so in if then and, suppose you want to display something else, like if you know region is this, so if you have to write another if condition here, then you can use else if. Okay, so in that case you can write else if region is south and subcategory is chairs, then do that. So we'll learn about these statements later. Now before we proceed further, we have to discuss about an assignment here. Okay. So we have another data set. This data set is called Northwind data set. So this is entity relationship or ER diagram of Northwind data set. Northwind data set is a sample superstore in itself. Okay. So like we have been studying the sample superstore, what you are seeing here, if you just think like that, what you are seeing here is the extract of their database. Okay, like this data comes from many tables which has been directly given to us so that we can simply start analyzing it. Okay, so Tableau has created it. This Northwind database was created by some, was introduced with some products of Microsoft. Okay, so this data set is a very old sample data set for database management systems, and Microsoft kind of introduced it, if I'm not wrong. And in this data set you can see there are 8 main tables. Okay, so you have to use these 8 tables. Now if we open Tableau and connect that data set, so it's inside a CSV folder. So here you can see we have put all the CSV files in the same folder. Okay, and now we will try to read the data set. So here when you are seeing the ER diagram, you can see the order details table is kind of in middle, right? So while doing analysis, this type of diagram will be given by the developer. Okay, or you have to figure out this diagram first. Okay, if this diagram is clear, then you can easily analyze. So order details is connected with two tables, orders and products. Order ID here is same as order ID in orders table. Product ID here is same as products in product ID in products table. Okay, so here first I'll click order details, and it will create a structure like this, like it will load it for me. Now I will connect products with it, but it is not connecting. Why? Because sometimes, because of case mismatch, case mismatch, like pro- for example, in order details table, product ID is written in a different case, right? In products table, it is written like this, product ID, this, right? So here they have a space, here they don't have a space. P is capital, P is small. So now you can equate them, and then it will create the relationship. Okay, because these names are different, like here we have a space, here we don't have a space. So Tableau is not able to understand which field in order details is, let's forget products, let's drag orders. It created the relationship. Okay, because it was able to understand. Okay, and it has already given us like order ID in this table is equal to order ID in this table, although in this case also cases are different, but sometimes it will not be able to understand the relation. So then you have to provide that equation, that product ID is equal to product ID, this. Okay, so now we have created our ER diagrams, this is structure. Okay, now this is again kind of your homework. You have to create first of all the entire ER diagram, show it. How I'm giving you another step now. Products is also related to categories. So you will drag it like this. Okay. So similarly, orders is also connected to customers. Okay. So this way you can start creating your relationship diagram here. And then, yeah, you have to, yeah, equate the columns. Yes. If this relationship is not, you can see the relation here, but if it is not appearing there, then you can equate them. Okay. And now when you will go to sheets, I will give you link of the ER diagram. If you will go to sheets, now you will see all these tables. Okay. Yes. And here you have questions like create a report that shows this, create a report that shows that. Okay. Actually, it is a data set of SQL only, but what we are doing is with the help of calculated fields, with the help of drag and drop, we will try to practice this on Tableau. Okay. And while doing that practice, like for example here, create a report showing contact name, address, city of all customers from Germany, Mexico, Spain. So here you have to use or operator, not from. Yeah, so you have to use a negative of or, right? So so this is something when you will practice. In some cases there will be as A or B starting with A or B. Okay, so there are some queries where you have to use the calculated fields. Here is a query where you have to use freight cost more than 500. Here you have to use comparison operator. Okay. So in SQL you can get the solution. So yeah, it is very simple. If you will just put this question in chat GPT, it will give you the solution. Okay. It is a very common data set, but what you have to do is right now, since you are learning Tableau, you have to do it in Tableau. Okay. So whatever first assignment, I'll share the data set with you. First of all, read the data set, make correct arrangement, show the screenshot in WhatsApp group that you have made the correct diagram. Then do very simple analysis. Start creating sheets. So sheet one, question one, sheet one, question two, sheet two. Do it like that. So it is something that you can do in parallel for practice purpose. Okay. And wherever you will get stuck, we'll discuss that. Okay.